And we are back. We've got UFC 305 with the lads. We're going to cover everything. It's Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis, the big rivalry. Very hyped last year. Sam won it, all the buzz. It's died down a bit now, but hopefully going into fight week, we're all in. If we're all watching the show, I'm sure our draft will get everyone into it and so excited. But yeah, it's the UFC 305 draft, Sam. But first off, how are you?
Yeah, good man. Looking forward to this. Yeah, like you said, it's been a bit quiet this one. It's not bubbled up as yet as we might expect. Although, as we're recording, the press conference is going on right now. So maybe after this, when we catch up on the press of them, maybe they'll have had a bit more than a loving stare down at the end. But yeah, hopefully this press will get up some war of words in front of the crowd in Perth.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it needs it. I think the last couple of fight nights since obviously the big UFC UK card, it's died down a bit, Sam. I remember back in the day when they never used to do that many cards, and each one would have 2 or 3 big names on it every single time, Sam. And I think we're losing that slowly by just the pure amount of cards Dana's putting on, which is good if you're just a die-hard fight fan. But I think if you're more of a casual, it doesn't get everyone involved. They don't know what's coming up because there's something random coming up week on week. What's your thoughts on this heavy booking schedule, Sam?
Yeah, I kind of like it, and I don't. Yeah, some of the Apex fight nights, like the one last week, we kind of missed the show last week for various reasons, but it was one of them where you look at it and it's like, this is a bit hard work, and it's like, do we actually need this one? So I think sometimes before a pay-per-view, it'd be nice to have a 2-week block into it, so we can get a bit more press. The guys, I know that they're finishing training camp and that kind of thing, but a bit of a longer lead up into it where we can get your Chael Sonnens and your DCs just focusing on all those kind of guys, all the media sites, just building up into the big pay-per-views and kind of these kind of smaller Apex ones. I appreciate you've got to get guys out. They've got a lot of fighters and that kind of thing. But I think, just a bit of a better lead up into the pay-per-views, would be good. And it tends to be kind of almost, one a week, doesn't it? So, three a month would be nice. I mean, and build into these fight weeks just a little bit longer. Maybe get them in place, in position, in Perth earlier. Start maybe a bit of media a bit earlier. I know that's easier said than done when you've got camps and things like that. But even if it's just the pundits building it up and some special shows going on, I think that just helped the hype. Because like you said, it has died down a little bit, and everyone does at the minute. I think a lot of the headline fights, everything's been really respectful, which is good in a way. But we've kind of lost that kind of trash talking element. Even this rivalry that as you said was heated at one point. It's now just solely really about the matchup on Saturday night, and we're kind of losing these storylines. They're kind of falling away.
Yeah, well said. Well said, Sam. I think that's exactly spot on. So hopefully something changes. They make a couple of tweaks because they'll be feeling it themselves. Like you said, I don't think the numbers on the sales have been quite as high as they used to. I think that's been reported. So yeah, we'll see. But hopefully they start getting things back on track and they get the hype. Because I feel like fans are just the diehard fans even seem worn out to me as well. That they're not as excited about things coming up, and then they're losing the casuals. So yeah, let's hope this. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well. I think just trying to get the Connor thing sorted out and the John Jones thing sorted out. If Jones, I don't know. I know Dana said this week Connor's not going to fight in December, but I just like to get those guys out and done, because it seems a lot of the news cycle is dominated by one John Jones and the Tom Aspinall thing of him fighting Stipe instead of Tom, and it's in the pound for pound number one being John Jones, and Dana constantly being asked about it and then ranting about it, and then the kind of thing with Chandler has been going on for so long as well, and it just seems like those two things kind of sucking the life out of it a little bit, and all these Adesanya Du Plessis at one point was the massive event. But now it's all about really about these two. When you look at whatever news site you're on, they're dominating the headlines. So I'd like to see Conor out in December, get it over with, get Jones out in November, get that Stipe fight over with, and then we can move on and talk about the rest of kind of the divisions and the other storylines that need to play out.
Yeah. All right. Well, a bit of commentary on the UFC. Yeah. We'll get into it now, Sam. We've got the UFC draft for viewers who may be new and pick out this show to watch. We do a draft system. We go 5 rounds. We pick a fighter each round. Obviously, it normally works out where the heavy favourites we pick first, and it gets more and more risky as we go down. And we review our picks and see who wins at the end of the night. I am officially 1-0 up after the last event. We were drawing after the big UFC UK card. We both got 4 out of 5 correct. Sam, a bit of a down week. I don't want to be critical of you, but you hit 2 out of 5. I know Sam, but I got 3 out of 5, so I wasn't much better, but I have got bragging rights going into this event. So I'm going to take them why I've got them, because I don't think it'll last long. So let's get into it, Sam. It's 5 rounds. I said for the viewers, 5 rounds. Pick a fighter each round. Follow along. We'll talk about the fights that the fighter is involved in. We do it from a betting perspective as well. Obviously, we like to do accumulators. We like to pick out knockouts. We like to pick out submissions. So follow along with us, and hopefully you support one of us going into the event this weekend. Sam, I'll let you pick first. Round 1 of the UFC 305 draft. Sam, take us away.
I'm going to go in for Steve Erceg off the bat. Obviously, we saw him at UFC 301, wasn't it? Yeah, against Pantoja for the title. He's had a bit of a whirlwind start in the UFC, 3-1 so far. Obviously, lost his title fight. 3-0 before that, knocking out Matt Schnell in March. So his 3rd outing of the year, and he faces Kai Kara-France here, who's kind of been around the top 5 for a long time in the flyweight division, a former title challenger himself, losing to Brandon Moreno a couple of fights ago. And he's just not been that active of late. Potentially, there's a couple like that. Adesanya, obviously, who's had a pretty much a year off now. But Kara-France, the same. Last seen, losing to Amir Albazi, a close split decision last time out. Lost to Moreno before that. That was back in 2022. So he's not been that active over the last couple of years. Does have power in his hands, but I think Kara-France is a bit susceptible to wrestlers. So, and I think Erceg with his all-round game, really good grappler. We saw it against Pantoja. He's got a really good submission record outside of the UFC. 6 of his 9 pro wins on the regional scene, all by submission. He's really tall for this division as well, and long. And I think, even though Kara-France can be good in the scramble, I think he can be held down by really good grapplers. And I'm going to go Erceg here to get a submission win and finally get his first sub in the UFC.
I like it, Sam. I like it. Yeah, going in nice in the co-main event to get us going. I don't. This is where I'm struggling. I like later picks, but you like to go a lock in these first few rounds, Sam. And I don't quite have one. But I want a nice, easy win. I'm gonna go a tough one here, Sam, and I'm gonna live to regret it. I'm gonna go women's fighter who was highly tipped. She's from the UK / from Australia. Got mixed origins. It's Casey O'Neill. She's fighting Luana Santos, who was 8-1. So it's a risk that I'm picking this early on. Luana is a great fighter herself, coming off a nice win versus Maria Agapova. But I think Casey O'Neill's just got too much. She's still 26. She's been hyped about, but the age is still on her side. It's not like she's anything against her. There are a few cancelled fights, but one last off versus Ariana Lipski. She lost to Jennifer Mayer. That was the tough result. She's beat Roxanne Modiferi in the past. She's beat Antonia Shevchenko. I think Casey O'Neill just has too much in this fight, Sam. I think she's a good all-round fighter. She's good with her submissions. Obviously, she will need that versus Luana, and I think she'll have too much on the stand-up for Luana. Luana's still 24. Women, I think, take a bit of time to get into things unless they've got that extreme athleticism like some of them do. So I think Casey gets the one here. She'll be too strong, too good on the stand-up, and gets me a safe win going into round 2 of the draft. Don't know what you feel about that, Sam. I know I feel a bit risky even saying it, but I've got a load of people all at the same level for myself. So I've got to pick one and keep going.
Yeah, get it out there. My first round draft pick last time out was the Russian female, undefeated, and I thought I had a decent lock in there, but you never know with the women's fights, do you?
No, unless, like you said, unless one of them's just that strong and powerful compared to the other, where you just know it's going to be an over strength, over speed. It's tough. It's very close. It's very close in standard from top to bottom. So yeah, we'll see, Sam. But I think Casey O'Neill will have too much in front of a crowd that will be cheering her on. Sam, we're in round 2. Give us your pick.
Round 2 pick, I think, is going to be Carlos Prates facing Li Jingliang here, the Brazilian. He's 30 years old. He's a relative newcomer again, like Erceg to the UFC. 2-0, both bouts in 2024, 19-6 as a pro. He's done the hard rounds, now in the UFC, and he's in a real hot streak. He's got 2 UFC wins. Both by finishes, beat Charles Radke in round 1 last June, finished Trevor Giles before that in round 2 with a straight left on his debut. That was in February. He's on a 9-fight win streak, all of them coming by the way of finish. So he's a dangerous guy, and like Erceg, he's long for the division. He's got a ridiculous reach advantage here over Jingliang. I think it's something like 7 or 8 inches. So he's got real long arms, and he's used those to good effect so far in the UFC. And we know with Li Jingliang, he's all action. He loves these stand-up wars. So I think it's going to be good for Prates, even though this is, a step up in class for him. Jingliang, he's not fought for a couple of years. Had a spine injury last year, preparing to face Michael Chiesa. Obviously, more of a grappling matchup, that one. So he was going harder in training with his grappling. Ended up with an injury that's kept him out this long. He's 11-6 in the UFC. Obviously, he's dangerous, but at 36, off this layoff, I'm fancying Prates to come in and look good. It's a good opponent for him to look good. Maybe may or may not get the finish. Jingliang's never been finished in his pro career, but he can lose, and he's 3-3 in his last 6. Lost a split decision to Danny Rodriguez in his last outing. That was back in September 2022 on Diaz v Ferguson, that rearranged last minute card. So that's how long he's been out for Jingliang. So Prates coming in with the momentum, 9 finishes in a row, 2 of them in the UFC. I think they're fast tracking him a little bit, and this potentially, is a decent name for him to look good against and get the win.
Like it, Sam. Like it. Yeah, it's a tough card to pick to draft for, because normally you like your couple of locks. I don't think there's many locks. Prates might be one of the only ones, but I do like the Leech. I decided to stay away from him because I love the Leech, love his style. He had a bit of buzz about him before I think, was it an ACL or something to do with his knee? I think he had a really bad injury that's took him out for, like as you said, a long time now. So I can't bet against the Leech. I want to see where he's at before I bet against or for him in the future. My round 2 pick is a Chinese man in I believe the first fight of the night. Obviously, they change it around a lot nowadays, so you're never quite sure. But I'm getting you going early, Sam. You tune in. Early Saturday night, you're still awake, you still got a bit of buzz. Let's get a win on the board. I'm going Song, the assassin, Kenan. He's against Rick Glenn. He's had an up and down career, Song, but he's the gatekeeper to getting into a bit of buzz. I think he loses to the ones who then start rising up in the division. And I think if it's someone like Rick Glenn, who's been around a bit but never quite done it, not quite a name that I don't think's going to go on this big push to get deeper into the division. I think Song will just have too much. He's a good fighter. He fought Ian Gary, I believe, was it 2021? No, 20. It was. When was it? It was. Might have been even further ago. I think it was 2021. He fought Ian Gary. 2023. Sorry. Last year. I'm wrong. My years have flown by. He lost in a round 3 TKO, but I thought he had actually an okay performance. I saw signs there of a good fighter. I just don't think he's good enough to push into the top 25. I know that's not an official ranking, but that top edge of the division that are all starting to push. And I think he'll have too much. Let's get it started against Rick Glenn. Rick Glenn's 35. I don't think there's anything coming. Song Kenan has got this one in the bag all day long for me. Round 2, I think gets the finish here. I wouldn't say this is going to decision. I think Song Kenan's going to finish this off and make a name for himself and be that gatekeeper to enter in the UFC, I'd say. So yeah, got Song Kenan, Sam. First fight of the night. Let's get me started early.
Nice, like it.
Round 3, Sam. It's where it gets tougher and tougher, especially on this card with not many big favourites. Round 3, who are you taking?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot that I'm kind of like unsure of. I think I'm going to go for Mateusz Gamrot against Dan Hooker. Obviously, Gamrot, he just sits on the edge of that lightweight divisions. I think he is ranked 5, but there's all those kind of pay-per-view stars ahead of him, likes of Gaethje and Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira, heading into those kind of guys that are ahead of him, and obviously Sarukian, who he does have a win over, and the champ Makhachev. So he's kind of on the edge of things, looking for that big fight. Doesn't maybe have that star power, but real solid fighter. He's got that grappling style. Which has probably held him back a little bit. He's quite a cool customer as well. So, he's not the kind of guy that, he's going to get drawn into any kind of trash talking or any kind of wars necessarily. But against Dan Hooker, he may not have an option. Hooker's, I think, a fighter we all want to see do well and win. But I'm just not sure. He's on a 2-fight win streak, Hooker. Last seen last year against beating Jalen Turner by split decision. Got a win before that. He's kind of been up and down the weight division. He tends to only lose to the better fighters. Makhachev, Poirier. He's lost to Chandler when he dropped down. He lost to Arnold Allen as well. But his best wins, you would say, are probably a few years ago, against the likes of Paul Felder and Gilbert Burns, whereas Gamrot still seems to me like he's up there. I know he also beat Turner by split decision. There was the win against Fiziev, where Fiziev had the leg injury, and he beat RDA last time out in March. So maybe there are signs there for Hooker and encouragement, but I think it's the right style for Gamrot to be able to impose his wrestling game on Dan Hooker. And I think, he's on a 3-fight win streak himself, and I still think he's got, plenty of life in him. He's only lost twice. Gamrot, like I said, he's got a win over Arman Sarukian as well. He's, since that defeat, has been on a tear to get himself in position to fight Makhachev. So, on his night, Gamrot, he's still up there for me, and I think he's just got a bit too much for Dan Hooker, even though, it'd be great to see, a real redemption story if Hooker could come in and get the win, but just, perhaps can't see it.
Fair enough, Sam. Yeah, big pick. Maybe later in the draft you might see my opinion otherwise, Sam. I'm not sure yet. I'm still undecided. Never been too impressed by Gamrot, but like you said, he's wrestle heavy. If Hooker's That is Hooker's famous weakness. He does get drawn in, but then he's not the best wrestler. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it should be a good fight. Hopefully, Hooker does get some stand up away and doesn't just get wrestled to the death of the fight. My round 3 pick, Sam. That's where it gets tough. And the main card for me, apart from Steve, obviously, is against Kai Kara France. So it seems like they're setting up the Oceania Australasian fighters here, because there's not many that I think are favourites going into the fight. I'm going to go Dricus Du Plessis. I'm taking on that main event, and I'm taking on Dricus Du Plessis. I'm nervous saying it. You can hear it in my voice, but I think Du Plessis is the hungrier fighter. I think he's the more athletic fighter. I think he's obviously got the momentum behind him. As I've said about Israel Adesanya before, I think his motivation might be there this fight. This is where I maybe go wrong, but I think his motivation them last couple of fights before he lost to obviously Strickland, it was waning. He didn't seem as interested to me. Didn't seem as excited about fights once he beat Pereira. Before and after the Pereira, obviously fights and getting that rematch, he just doesn't seem as into it. He looked like the pressure of the fans, the craziness of his stardom was getting to him. And like I said, then he's lost to Strawn Strickland. I don't know. Sometimes when that goes, Sam, it never comes back. That's what I'm gambling on. It's a gamble. It's a punt. If you know me and know my other shows, it's a good punt. And I think Du Plessis has too much. I think he's just so athletic, so strong. He's had his nose job to fix his breathing, and his fitness has just shot through the roof. Yeah, I think Du Plessis has too much for him. He's too athletic, too strong, too hungry, and I think he's winning the Pride of Africa matchup this time around, Sam.
Yeah, I think I'd go that way as well. So I'm probably not going to pick Adesanya in my last couple of picks. But yeah, I agree. The motivation thing is just unknown. Like you said, he can come out and talk the talk this week, and it's about legacy, it's about taking heads, and all that. And it might be not motivated by the belt anymore. So kind of what is it really? Is it to be in good fights? Is it to beat Du Plessis? Is it to go and do maybe something else after a couple of fights? But yeah, you're not quite sure, and you don't know. Like you said, Du Plessis, he's an animal. He'll be there, unless you can knock him out, which he's only been knocked out once in his 23 fight pro career, which I think shows how tough he is. He's going to be trying to hang there until the end. That was in KSW in 2018, the last time that Du Plessis suffered any kind of defeat. He's been on a real tear in the UFC. I mean, that's a strong pick, really, given we just don't know with Adesanya. I'm sure he'll be there. He's a champion. He's been around a long time. In kickboxing as well, but. Yeah, I'd kind of edge towards Du Plessis if I had to make a pick.
I like it, Sam. I'll get the Sam vote. I like it. So yeah, round 4. This is where it gets really tough. 2 picks left. Not many there's not many favourites at all left. So I'll let you take us away. Round 4, Sam.
Yeah, I've maybe done myself over there not picking Adesanya. It would have been a 50-50 shootout, but I'm going to go, I think, for Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I kind of agree a little bit what you say. The main card looks like they're maybe setting up some of the fighters. This one could go either way, but I'm just going to go for it regardless. Both have quite similar records if you look at Tai Tuivasa and Rozenstruik. 8-7 in the UFC for Tuivasa, 8-5 for Rozenstruik. Tuivasa's 14-7 as a pro. Rozenstruik's 14-5 as a pro. Rozenstruik's the older guy. Won last time out against Gassier. Made him retire in round 4. He's kind of been pretty inconsistent. He's almost kind of on a win one, lose one record, which might suggest that he loses this fight, but he kind of loses to the better guys, to Ngannou, to Gane, to Blades, to Volkov, to Almeida. Wins against Junior Dos Santos, Saki, Daukas, and Gassiev last time out. But Tuivasa was kind of on a similar run where he beat kind of the lower down guys and he'd lose to the better guys, like Pavlovich when he was on his tear, like Garn, like Volkov. But again, he lost to Tybura last time out, which, on a 4-fight losing streak for Tuivasa, he feels a little bit to me like entering that Tony Ferguson territory where what's he doing it for now? He's kind of on this thing where he's on this streak where he's losing a little bit too much. He's struggling to get it back. And that performance last time out against Tybura was just concerning to me. It was only in March. I know it was a round 1 and a submission, but he just looked all over the place. And I think Rozenstruik, with 8 wins, all of his wins in the UFC coming by KO or TKO, Tuivasa's going to have to knock him out. And he's only been knocked out by Volkov and Ngannou. And I don't know, Tuivasa is his chin up to it after the 4 successive defeats that he's suffered. I'm going to go for Rozenstruik. Risky pick with the heavyweights, but I'm going for him regardless.
I like it, Sam. Yeah, I'm staying away from that fight. I'm doing what you were brave enough to do. I'm going to go against you now, Sam. I think with these next 2 picks, making it exciting for us, that there will be a definitive winner. I'm going to go Kai Kara-France. I think Steve Erceg's a brilliant fighter. It's not an anti-Steve Erceg pick. It's not a massively pro Kai Kara-France pick. I think I like Kai. I think he's a brilliant stand-up. His motivations, self-admittedly, I believe, from his interviews, waned up and down. And I think this is a fight will get him hungry. He's in his home crowd. It's hard not to be fully motivated when you've got your crowd behind you. You've got the fans cheering. As we saw in the UK, it is a big advantage. Obviously, Erceg's, I'm saying that, but Erceg's, it's the same advantage. So I guess I'm talking myself into failure there. But yeah, I think Kai's, I like the way he fights. I think he's exciting. I think Erceg's still fairly new. He's only 14 fights in. Kai's 35 fights into his, 36, including a no contest, 36 fights into his MMA career. I think Erceg's still learning, as we saw against Pantoja, some little mistakes to get him over the line. And I don't know if the veteran's got one last run in him, and I think he does. I think I really like the way he fights. Brilliant stand-up fighter, electrically fast, and can survive in the grappling exchanges. And I think this is where Kai gets the win here. I think he survives more than he loses the grappling exchanges, keeps it standing, keeps active. I think his speed gets him some advantages on that. And I think Kai gets the decision victory here. I think he point fights him into oblivion over the 3 rounds and gets the win here, Sam. So I'm going to go Kai Kara-France to go against you. And I said I respect Steve Erceg so much. His last fight was unbelievable, wasn't it? Like I said, we all followed it, what he did. So I hope it's not a bad loss for Steve. But I think Kai's got that veteran wily. I think he's got one last run in him. And he's so quick. So I'm going Kai Kara-France.
Like it. Yeah, all the boys out of City Kickboxing this week sound really confident, don't they? I think that's my main concern for some of these. When you listen to Hooker, when you listen to Kara-France, and even Adesanya, they are sounding quite confident. So not that they wouldn't be, but yeah, they kind of seem a little bit refreshed. Particularly Kara-France, again, another one coming off a layoff. So, yeah, I just think, Erceg's probably a bit too strong. But, yeah, hopefully it's a good fight. I think it'll be quite wild because Kara-France, he's just is that guy, isn't he? So, yeah, it should be a good fight.
Sam, I'm going to let you, round 5, the final pick. I think we're really all struggling now. So, take a punt, Sam, have some fun, and let's see what you come up with.
Yeah, I've got a choice of three to make. One's down the card, early doors, but I'm tempted to just go a little bit higher. I'm tempted to just take another risky one. but not sure. Yeah, I'm going to narrow it down to two off the top of the prelims. I've got Junior Taffa against Walter Walker and Josh Culibao against Ricardo Ramos. That I'm going to pick from. And I think, do you know what? I'm going to go for the double heavyweight. I was going to pick Culibao because I think Ricardo Ramos, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go for, Taffa, I think, to beat Walter Walker. I think, Taffa's probably been a little kind of unlucky. He's got a losing record in the UFC. Both of these lads do. Obviously, both have had brothers in the UFC. But Junior, 27 years old, did step in for his brother last time out. That late notice, UFC 298, wasn't it? Where he's Justin fell out really the last throw of the dice. And it was something like less than 24 hours that Junior Taffa stepped in to face Marcos Rodrigo de Lima at the last minute. Was finished by him, but that was a huge step up in class, for him. At that stage of his career. So he's had that bit of experience, going up against a better opponent. His fight after, which was scheduled for, I think his brother took in the end. He's got a win over Parker Porter, first round KO, where he showed what he's about. His KO power, that coming from his kickboxing and boxing background, that he's going to be good on the feet. And he lost on his debut to Mohammed Usman, who took a few shots early doors, but then the Usman name came out, and Taffa got wrestled in that fight. So I think that Taffa here could look good against Walter Walker, and his record, of 1-2 in the UFC is probably slightly better than that. Whereas Walter Walker, who is interesting, I think the fact that I've seen he's cut quite a lot of weight for this camp. I think he's lost 26 pounds since his last fight, which was his debut in the UFC against Lucas Brzeski, who we saw obviously get KO'd in the first round by Big Mick Parkin at UFC 303 in Manchester. He's Brzeski's got a 1-4 UFC record. So if you lose into that guy, then to be honest, not too sure about you. He's 6'6". He does have a reach advantage here, but Taffa, good on the feet. I don't think he's going to be overly concerned by that. Walker did have 4 stoppages in a row before being signed to the UFC, but it's just that loss to Brzeski who isn't that good. Mick Parkin dispatched him, really easily. Taffa's been in there. He stayed in there with Usman for the 3 rounds, despite being record. He's got a knockout win. He's fought higher competition, stepping in at the last minute. So the Walker thing, losing the weight, he looks a bit skinny now for heavyweight as well. So I think his fight was in April. So he's lost 26 pounds since April to compete at heavyweight. Maybe that's going to deplete him a little bit in terms of his durability. So I think these signs for me are strengthening my case for Taffa. Both novice heavyweights. Obviously, anything can happen. So it's a risky one, but I'm gonna go for Junior Taffa.
I like it. No, I think that's one of the safest picks left in the option, Sam. To be honest with you, I think, like you said, you broke it down really well. So. Yeah, nice pick. I think I've missed one out there. Do I play safe or do exciting? Do I go for the show? If I'm going for the show, I've got 1 or 2 picks. I could go directly against you, and obviously, like you said, decide a winner. Or there is as I'm looking over here, I can be really safe. I might hold my win here, Sam. Like I said, I'm one fight night up at the moment. And I'm going to try scrape a draw here. I think I've took a few risky picks middle of the round. I'm going to try scrape a draw. I don't know too much about this man. It's why I've left him off. He's new into the UFC, but his opponent, I think, is on the dying end of things, and his name's Jenkins. He's I think he's an Australian fighter that's coming up against Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns is obviously someone who's been around the MMA jiu-jitsu landscape for many years now. He's getting older. He's never been that impressive in the UFC like his brother. He's never gone on a run like his brother. and I think this Jack Jenkins, former champion in the divisions of the Oceania, is it called Australasia now? When I was a kid, they kept changing it. He's from Melbourne, Australia. He'll have the fans behind him, and I think he'll take the win versus Herbert Burns, who's probably on the tail end of his career here. Jack he's 31, so it's not like he's this young gun surgeon. He has 15 fights in MMA. So that's concerning all good. He's not a weathered veteran, but he's not a young gun who's going to make some mistakes against a very big grappling veteran in Herbert Burns. So, yeah, I think Jack Jenkins is coming up. He lost his last fight versus Jose Mariscal, but he's beat Jamal Emmers, Don Shanice, Emilio Linares. He's gone on a big run. Like I said, lost his last fight, but I'm not impressed by Herbert Burns anymore. I think he gets the win in front of his home crowd. Herbert Burns has lost his last 3 fights anyway, so I think it's the end. I think it's the end for Herbert Burns. And I think I've got a late win here that we both missed out from. I think Jack Jenkins takes the win here. As I was talking, I got more and more confident because I don't know. I've missed a lot of Jack Jenkins' fights over the last thing. He lost through an arm injury, it's saying here, to Jose Mariscal. I missed that fight. I must have gone for my beer watching the Adesanya Strickland card. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So I think he... if it was just a random arm injury, I think he takes the win versus Herbert Burns pretty comfortably. He was on a big losing streak. Come on, Sam, I've picked a late gun, and I'm scraping a draw for this draft, and I'm staying one up.
Like it, yeah. I think Burns is a replacement as well, isn't he? So he's taking this on short notice as well. Just looking at it, this was only announced. I was just looking at Jenkins's Instagram. Just wanted to see. He's the guy with the tash, isn't he? He's got the mullet and the tash.
Yeah.
So he's got the look for it. Yes, this was only a couple of weeks ago. Took her out, Burns in. So short notice for Burns as well. So I think that's a good pick. I think that's a solid one. So yeah, well, I've got a couple of risky ones with the heavyweights. You've got a couple that you're not 100%. Behind taking some risks as well, so yeah, could be interesting this one by the end. And we're only head to head once, are we? Is that right?
Yeah,
on the head to head once on the Erceg Cara France fight. So hopefully we've got something to play for by then, and it's maybe we're drawing heading into that fight. That'd be a nice way to finish.
That'd be the dream. So good luck, Sam. Thank you for doing this. So we'll see this weekend. It should be good fights. I think we're struggling because the fights are all pretty even. There's not many big money favourites, and I think the couple that there is we've put in. But otherwise, just enjoy a good fight night. Go get some bets on, enjoy it. There'll be some money to be made if you think you've got the edge on the bookies this time around. If you've watched a lot of these fighters, go earn some money. Because, like you said, there's no big money favourites that are just gonna not ruin bets, but make the night not as exciting for the better. So, yeah, Sam, any last words?
No, just enjoy the fights and give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll be back soon. Hopefully next week. I don't even know the schedule now. Like you say, the life's been sucked out of us a little bit.
The next one is Pau Baralho, who we watched a couple months ago, versus Jared Cannonier.
Actually, a decent one, yeah.
Decent fight, but then I'm just looking down, and it's not as exciting further down the card. We've got Gerald Meerschaert fighting on the main card, so we know we're struggling against that. Yeah. Come on, UFC, get your stuff together. Make these fight nights a bit more appetizing for the viewer, because GM3 at this point of his career should not be near any main event fights other than the karate combats that he's done. Leave him to karate combat. I don't know how he's fighting in a main card in 2024, but fair enough. We'll keep it going, Sam. See you hopefully next week, and see you soon.
Yeah, see you then. Thanks, everyone.